Alright, this video is going to show how to create the checkerboard in 3ds Max. So I've got my perspective view highlighted here. I'm going to click on the minimum and maximum toggle to full screen that. And so we're going to talk about using snaps for this checkerboard. So I have my snaps turned on. This is the default, it's off. Left click to turn it on. I'm going to right click to get the settings. So make sure the grid points is checked. And then go over to home grid and turn your grid spacing to 1. The board is only going to be, each square is going to be 2 by 2. So grid spacing of 10 doesn't really help me. So I'm going to put that on 1, and you can close that box. Zoom back in on our grid here. And we're going to create a box for the first checkerboard. Notice that only the grid intersections are highlighting. I can't click in between those grid intersections. So to make my box, I'm going to left click and drag, and then let go when I get to the next corner. And then that gives me the square, and then at the third dimension I go up, and it's going to force me to go up at least 1 because of the grid spacing. That's okay, I can change that afterwards. So just left click and then highlight the height of 1 and change that to 0.25. So I have my first square here, and I'm going to go ahead and make that square black. Alright, now notice I have this XYZ here, but the way this stem Q gives you this, the Q button on the keyboard gives you this XYZ that doesn't really do anything. It's just like a select. Or press W, those arrows come up, and now I can move this square. Or what we're going to do in this one is we're going to use the clone and move using those arrows. I'm going to need to move. The other thing we're going to talk about in this video is pivots. So right now the pivot for this is right in the center of this square. I'm going to move that pivot to the corner because I want to be able to move it from corner to corner. So this third tab here is hierarchy. I'm going to go to effect pivot only, and then I'm just going to move that pivot to the origin. And then I'm going to click use working pivot. Okay, so now I'm going to hold shift, make sure only the X is highlighted, click and drag that pivot to the next grid place that I need. Let go. I don't want this to be an instance, because if it's an instance, I won't be able to change the color. Instance copies it and keeps the properties the same, and it doesn't allow you to change the properties individually. So I'm going to copy it, because then that will allow me to change the properties of that second square. So I'm going to hit OK. And then this square is already highlighted, so I'm going to go to my color swatch, change that to white. Alright, so now this one's highlighted. I'm going to hold Control to highlight the first one as well. And then I'm going to hold Shift, get that arrow again, and move it to this point here. Let go. And this can be an instance because I'm not gonna change these properties. And I want 2 more of these. So I want 1, 2, 3 of these. That's going to give me my 4 sets of 2, which will give me my 8 checkerboard squares for that row. So that row is done. Now I need to highlight, these 2 are highlighted. I'm going to hold Control and highlight the other 6 squares in this row. Alright, I still have my working pivot in this place here, which is where I want it, so that's good. I'm going to hold Shift, highlight the Y-axis, left click, drag to the next point up. Alright, the instance is fine here. Press OK. I'm only going to do 1 because I have to adjust this right now. I can't do 7 because then every other row is going to be wrong. So now checkerboard needs to be alternating. So I need to move either the white square or the black square and then shift the whole thing over. So I'm going to go to this black square here. I'm not going to hold shift. I'm just going to click on the X arrow and drag that up to the other side of that white square. I'm going to hold Control to highlight the rest of these squares. And I need to shift this entire thing over one to the left. Again, I'm not holding Shift now because I don't want to copy this. X arrow, and we have to go one this way. All right, so now I'm ready to finish this off. Hold Control, highlight the rest of the squares. All 16 now should be highlighted. And I'm going to hold Shift, get my Y axis, left click, move that up 2 so that it's aligned there. Let go, instance copy. And I need 3 more of these, or 3 total. 2 more plus the one that I have already copied. Press OK, and my checkerboard is complete.